We're counting down the 6 most disturbing scenes in 80s action movies, a decade when explosions and one-liners masked some truly unsettling moments. From roadside horrors that build relentless psychological dread to infamous displays of gore and agony, this ranking covers the grittiest emotional gut punches, body horror shocks, and brutal set pieces that left audiences stunned. Starting with number 6. Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior. Before the era of exploding torsos and splattered prosthetics, George Miller's Wasteland set a different kind of trap. Here, brutality isn't about blood, it's about what's left behind. Marauder vehicles bristle with human skulls and animal bones, welded to grills and mirrors as trophies. The art department scoured junkyards for real detritus, building a world where every ornament is a warning. Wide shots linger on burned-out cars and sun-bleached corpses, the Australian outback stripped bare by violence. Cinematographer Dean Semler's harsh palette turns the landscape into a graveyard, while Miller's camera cuts away from the act of killing, forcing you to imagine what happened. It's the threat in the silence, the aftermath in the sand, that gets under your skin. The Road Warrior doesn't need gore to disturb. It just leaves you stranded with the bones. Number 5. Aliens. LV-426 cocooned colonists. The moment Ripley and the Marines step into the hive, the tone shifts from military rescue to something far more intimate and horrifying. Human bodies, half swallowed by the walls, are fused into latex cocoons that glisten with slime and pulse with a sickly sheen. Stan Winston's team built these prosthetics to look organic and suffocating. Actors were wrapped in pre-molded latex, airbrushed to match the alien resin, then sprayed down with glycerin for that wet, half-digested effect. The real punch comes when a colonist's face emerges from the cocoon, eyes wide, mouth barely moving, begging to be killed before the chestburster inside erupts. There's almost no music, just the low hum of the hive and a muffled, unnatural quiet. Sound designers stripped out heartbeats and familiar cues, leaving only a distant, inhuman drone. In a film built on gunfire and explosions, this is a violation the Marines can't shoot their way out of. The horror isn't just what's been done to the body, it's how little of the person is left inside. Number 4. Predator. Jungle Trophy kills. 3 flayed bodies hang upside down from a jungle tree, stripped of skin and left as a warning. Stan Winston's team built these corpses from foam latex and fiberglass, wiring them into the canopy for maximum shock. Skulls and spines, each sculpted for anatomical detail, dot the undergrowth, not as random gore, but as a calculated display. This is not chaos, it's ritual. The Predator hunts with intelligence, tracking soldiers through thermal vision, actual heat signatures captured with a FLIR camera, digitally processed to turn human beings into anonymous shapes of light. The effect is chilling. Men become prey, reduced to heat and movement, their identities erased. The jungle set, dressed by John Vallone, is a trophy room, every bone and skull placed to amplify the sense of a methodical collector at work. In Predator, violence becomes ceremony. The horror isn't just in the bodies, it's in the cold alien logic behind them. Survivors move through the trees, haunted by the knowledge that they were being watched, selected, and stripped of their humanity one by one. Number 3. Rambo. First Blood Part 2. Torture sequence. The leech pit and bamboo electrocution scenes in Rambo, First Blood Part 2 are more than just action set pieces. They're a fever dream of Cold War paranoia, filtered through the lens of American POW mythology. Stallone's Rambo, stripped to the waist and lashed to a makeshift bamboo crucifix, endures staged electrocution by sneering Soviet and Vietnamese captors, a spectacle that echoes the era's obsession with missing soldiers and government betrayal. The script, reshaped by Stallone from James Cameron's more procedural draft, dials up the agony and the symbolism. Rambo's suffering is both literal and political, a crucible of pain that justifies his eventual rampage. Real leeches were used in the infamous pit sequence. Stallone himself let them latch on, joking later about the discomfort but insisting it was worth it for realism. The bamboo rig was carefully constructed with on-set medics and stunt teams monitoring every take to prevent actual harm, but the illusion of agony is relentless. Critics called out the scene's excess, while some veterans groups protested its cartoonish brutality and the way it blurred fantasy with real trauma. Yet for audiences in 1985, the spectacle of torture wasn't just about shock. It was a cathartic stand-in for national wounds that had never quite healed. In Rambo, pain becomes politics, and the scars are meant for everyone to see. Number 2, The Terminator. Police Station Massacre. It's late at night, fluorescent lights flicker, and the front desk sergeant barely looks up as a hulking figure steps inside. In a film obsessed with the idea of unstoppable force, this is the moment the Terminator becomes a walking nightmare. No speeches, no negotiation, just cold, mechanical slaughter. The scene unfolds with a clinical detachment. Schwarzenegger's cyborg moves down the corridor, shotgun in hand, squeezing the trigger again and again. Each shot is a punctuation mark, every body in uniform just another obstacle. Cameron's budget was tight, so the set is cramped, the lighting harsh, and the violence unrelenting. There's almost no music, just the echo of gunfire and the thud of bodies hitting linoleum. In the lobby, a single-take sweep shows the carnage: shattered glass, overturned chairs, a dispatcher slumped over her console. The massacre isn't stylized or heroic. It's a systematic erasure, the kind of violence that leaves no room for hope or heroics. Test audiences recoiled at the sheer speed and indifference of the killing, prompting Cameron to trim only seconds, just enough to keep the R rating, not enough to blunt the impact. What sets this apart isn't the gore, but the sense of inevitability. Civilians, cops, secretaries, none of it matters. The Terminator is pure function, pure death, and the massacre is its mission statement. Even in a decade crowded with action spectacle, no other scene captures the terror of being utterly powerless in the face of something that cannot be reasoned with, cannot be stopped, and will not hesitate. The horror here isn't personal, it's mechanical, and that's what makes it unforgettable. And finally, in first place, RoboCop, Alex Murphy's execution. No other scene in 80s action cinema lands with the force and finality of this one. Paul Verhoeven's camera refuses to look away as Clarence Boddicker's gang corners Murphy, strips him of his weapon, and begins a ritual of humiliation. The violence isn't just graphic, it's methodical. Botton's effects team built a fiberglass replica of Peter Weller's arm, loaded with squibs and tubing, just for the moment when a shotgun blast blows Murphy's hand clean off. The gang laughs, Murphy staggers, and the torment escalates, each shot carefully mapped out in storyboards, each blood spurt engineered for maximum impact. The unrated cut lingers even longer, letting the camera hold on Murphy's agony, his body convulsing as squibs detonate across his chest. Beneath the set, a bicycle-powered rig makes the puppet torso thrash, selling the illusion of a man being torn apart in real time. The final shot comes almost as an act of mercy, a blast to the head delivered by Clarence himself, ending the ordeal. But the horror doesn't stop at anatomy. Murphy's arms are spread, his body crucified in a pose that Verhoeven has called a deliberate echo of martyrdom, a cop sacrificed on the altar of corporate Detroit. The MPAA demanded frame-by-frame edits, trimming seconds of blood and laughter. But even the theatrical cut is relentless. Crew members later described the reset process, hours spent reloading squibs and cleaning up blood, all to preserve the illusion of a death that feels both endless and inevitable. Weller's own account of the shoot is clinical, almost detached. He talks about safety glass, barriers, and the professionalism needed to survive the day. Yet what lingers is the sense of violation, of a man erased so that a machine can be born. RoboCop's execution scene isn't just the most disturbing moment of the decade. It's the one that leaves you feeling complicit, forced to watch as humanity is stripped away, frame by frame, for the sake of progress. No other sequence combines technical mastery, thematic weight, and sheer brutality with such cold precision. This is the apex. There's nowhere left to go. From the bleak roadside warnings of Mad Max to the relentless carnage of the Terminator and the brutal, drawn-out execution in RoboCop, this countdown has covered 6 of the most disturbing scenes ever captured in 80s action cinema. What stands out across all entries is how these films push past simple shootouts, using ritualized violence, body horror, and psychological dread to leave lasting scars on viewers. Whether it's the cold efficiency of a machine, the political torture of Rambo, or Murphy's agonizing ordeal, each scene earned its place for combining graphic impact with emotional or thematic weight. Consistently, the most disturbing moments didn't rely on gore alone. They built unease through context, character, and a sense that anyone could become a victim. These scenes remind us why 80s action movies are more than popcorn entertainment. They reflect the anxieties and boundaries of their era, challenging audiences as much as they thrill. In the end, the most shocking entries don't just show violence, they force us to confront its consequences, both on screen and in the culture that created them.